Hi, everyone, and welcome to Precisely Nowhere. And happy October! I am loving spooky season this year more than I can say I've loved in the past because I've embraced it more this year. And that is partially due to my boyfriend because Halloween is his favorite holiday. And we've been embracing it full on from watching scary movies like the Conjuring series to decorating in our apartment. We bought a few Halloween decorations this year that have brought the vibe to life aesthetically, and I'm loving it. We have these cool stickers on our patio door that's mostly glass, and they are 4 pumpkins. They all have spooky faces, different sizes, different spooky faces, and some branches and vines. And I get to look at it throughout the day when I'm chilling at home and when I pop into the living room because I work from home. We got a skeleton that is silver and has a pumpkin for a head that looks like a disco ball, and it is a vibe. I, for some reason, decided to call him Skeletor. I don't know why. I think it's because I like dinosaurs and made me think skeleton dinosaur, even though there's no dinosaur aspect there. But it is what it is. And they are wearing a bucket hat and sitting on a ergonomic ball that I use to sit on when I'm at my desk sometimes. I have embraced the joy that it brings to my life and my boyfriend's life. And I think that's what has made the season feel more rich and full. Decorating isn't the only way to be present, but it has helped me become more present each day and each season. I am enjoying fall so far. I am looking forward to a slow fall filled with cozy vibes, wellness rituals, paying it forward, and connecting. And I know that the pod is a big way that I am able to do that. So I'm super grateful for this creative project that has become something I love dearly and it's part of my life. Like my life is impacted by it and my day to day is influenced by it in the best ways. I love how it has helped me connect with so many people and it's continuing to help me connect with people and build community. And I think that we need community even more nowadays. It's always been important, but it's very important in today's day and age that we find ways to come together and find common ground and come together for the sake of the greater good of the planet Earth and all living species in this world. So we're not going to get too heavy in that, but this is me being 100 and keeping it real because that's the best thing about having your own podcast. I don't take it for granted opportunity to share my voice and be my authentic self and do that in a kind way. And I'm stoked to jump into today's episode. Thank you for bearing with me when I have my side rants. Sometimes they come on and I'm like, let me drop a little dose of what I'm thinking, but not go on a tangent. And with a new season upon us and 3 months left of 2025, I am making the most of it and wanted to invite everyone to make the most of it alongside me. We are all going at our own paces, so don't feel the need to meet me where I'm at. I would meet you where you're at, and maybe along the way, you'll push yourself out of your comfort zone a bit and you will find that you are growing. And I think that's a beautiful thing for us to be growing. I am a proud Latina and I have loved getting in touch with my culture more this year. I've always been in touch with my culture, but this year I made an intentional decision to be more in touch, meaning consume more Latina, Latino, Hispanic created by for content, and that is in all mediums from TV, movies, music, art, and books, and I am loving it. I feel invigorated, and I'm so grateful for this rich heritage and culture that I was born into. And at first, I wasn't sure how I was going to be more intentional. Like, what was I actually going to do, right? Because we sometimes have these ideas, we want to do this, and then personally, as I have so many ideas, and some of them are really ambitious, and they feel hard to achieve. So then I get stuck in that catatonic state. And I am proud to have broken out of that this year. I'm trying to be one of those people that builds communities and doesn't break them down. And I know there's a lot of people out there. So I am looking forward to connecting with those people and all good things to come 2025 and beyond. But for now, a few ways that I tapped into my culture more this year were through the pod and celebrating other Latinos, other businesses, connecting with other people. And I have really had, and I've had a wonderful time. And I feel so empowered as a Latina because of that. And I wanted to share that because it doesn't always feel empowering some days to be Latina. And that's not because I put myself down on my culture, it's because I see how people are treated, and it's heartbreaking. It's just really heartbreaking, like they are good people, and because of they look a certain way, they are profiled and they're being taken from their families, and they're scared to go to work, and they're being questioned if they're trying to get married, and the list goes on. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's not the first time we've isolated a community and ostracized them and treated them inhumanely. So I'm not sitting here trying to pretend that that's, the story here. It's tragic altogether. And I want to use my voice to speak up for what's right because it's a right to do that. And it's scary seeing that right in question with the Jimmy Kimmel incident. And it's a blessing that we live in a country where it's all right. So I'm going to continue to use my voice and not let authoritarian and dictator mindsets become the norm, because that is not a society any of us want to be living in my opinion. And that's just my hot take. On a lighter note, tacos, therapy, and thriving through fall is an episode that I released recently. And in that episode, I celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month by sharing my favorite cultura inspired rugs and binge worthy shows and a few tips for surviving your next familia gathering. So check it out if that's your vibe. It was a fun one. And there are lots of great companies in there that are Latina, Latino owned and are amazing. And you won't want to miss them. I am recording an episode with my mom, and as a first gen Latina badass, I'm super stoked for that. A lot of wisdom she has, and she's lived a life. So I can't wait to jump on the mic with her. I recently attended an Hispanic Heritage Month event at my LA office, and they did Millennial and Gen Z Loteria. That was so fun. The creator of the Millennial and Gen Z Loteria, Mike Alfaro, attended and he emceed the event, and it was really cool. He is a character, so well spoken and good on his feet. I was very impressed by his hosting skills. He got a lot of laughs, genuine laughs out of the crowd, and we were broadcasting it and on a Teams call with different offices because our employee network group Inclusivo is global. It was great to bring everyone together to celebrate our culture. And this is a game that I've been playing since I was a kid, but it was the OG Loteria. And we used to play it with beans, like the before you cook them, the little beans. And sometimes we played for money, but it was a good time. And it was also a way that I learned Spanish because the cards are in Spanish and you have to understand them in both languages from someone who's an English speaker, which was my first language. And I love those little things that keep us tapped in with our culture. A lot of great memories. I asked Mike if he would let me interview him for the pod, and he said he's down. So I cannot wait to do that episode. It's going to be a great one, and I know the content's going to be fire. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening. I really enjoyed sharing my culture more on the pod recently, and I've talked about my culture in the past, but making intentional decisions to be in touch with my culture has made my life feel more full. And I love that I get to share that with you that are listening and that I've experienced it as well. So, a few other ways that I've been tapping into my culture is through consuming content. There's lots of amazing content out there made by Latinos for Latinos. And I've been reading Somos, which is a division of Refinery 29 that highlights Hispanic voices. The most recent article that I read is titled I Traveled to Thailand and Learned That Time Isn't Real by Raquel Rechard. She's deputy director at Somos. And from her bio, she is so accomplished. She's an award winning journalist, editor, author, producer, and speaker based in Orlando, Florida. Her first book, Self Care for Latinas, published in 2023, and she's currently working on her second book, Best Friends Forever, about friend grief. I loved the article that she wrote. She recapped a trip that she took to Thailand, and it was sponsored by Expedia, not by Refiner 29. In her article, it was a creative reflection of that experience and trip. And like life, there are ups and downs and there's ebbs and flows. I love the perspective that she had throughout it. And I love her concept of time and talking about what she learned about time and the differences between the US and Thailand. And something I really resonated with was how we look at time in the US as linear and we are born, we go through adolescence, adulthood, elderly, we die. But in Buddhist teachings and in Thailand, they look at life like it's eternal and you have many lives. And so you don't have to accomplish everything in that one life that you're living right now because you can accomplish it in that next one and the next one. And it allows them to be more present. And I love this so much. So I've been thinking about time a lot recently and letting myself ride the wave, the pivots that come my way when I least expect them. And because they do happen, they actually happened recently. I got my COVID vaccine and I got it on a Friday and I was so tired that Saturday. I took multiple naps. I had no energy and I had planned to work on the pod that whole day. I had lots of plans. I was going to record an episode. I was going to start on the edit and do a few other things, and none of that happened. I actually recorded the episode and remember thinking to myself after I finished it, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to have to record that again because I was so tired. I felt like my energy wasn't there. And it's not a matter of wanting the recording to be perfect. It's knowing that I'm setting myself up for success and letting myself ride the wave and not resist sometimes because it's okay to lose a day, be a day behind. We can pivot and it's not the end of the world if I don't record the episode or if it's a few days late. It's okay. And I have that in the back of my mind now, and I love that that's my mindset because I feel like it's allowing me to be more present. And I will include a link to Raquel's article in the episode description in case you want to read it yourself. I highly recommend. And another plug I wanted to share today is Cristela Alonso. She currently has a Netflix special out that came out in 2025. This is her third special. The first one came out in 2016. I haven't watched the first two, so they are on my list of things to watch. But I love that she appointed herself as the person who's teaching her family to have fun because she grew up poor and they didn't learn how to have fun when she was younger. And now that she's in a different position in her life, she wants to pay it forward. So I love this so much. She mentions she's 46 without kids and thriving. I love that she celebrates that and that she also helped her sister raise her kids because she might not be a mom in the traditional sense, but she is. And there are a lot of women out there like that. And I love that we're celebrating all people and all types of moms. As a fellow Latina who grew up learning to work really hard and that being the most important thing sometimes, I resonated with her talking about joy and saying that it's okay to find joy and have fun and acknowledging that sometimes we need to hear it because we've been taught to work hard. I highly recommend her. If you're a fan of comedy specials and value diverse perspectives, or Latina yourself, you will vibe with it. She's so funny. She shares a lot of relatable life stories from her experience growing up as first generation Mexican woman. And she also shares stories from her family vacation from the family planner's perspective that I could relate to hard. And the last thing that I wanted to leave you with was an idea that I took from Cristela as a inspiration to think about for my own life. And she had a fun idea to make a list of things to do with her and her siblings that they always wanted to do when they were kids but couldn't. And that's potentially what's going to influence their family trips. And I think that's a fun way to approach it. If you have siblings or family members that you are in a place to travel with now or could travel with, what would you have wanted to do as a kid? There might be a place that you wanted to visit. Maybe it's somewhere you should check out. Inspo for your next holiday. For now, it's going to be a slow fall filled with cozy vibes, wellness rituals to help counteract what's going on in today's society. I think we all need some self care and TLC if you haven't given it to yourself yet this year. And it's never too late to start. I am looking forward to spending time leaning into joy. And in order to help myself do that, I've baked in some downtime for me to play as a creator. So I put some days on my calendar, block them out for me to work on the pod, practice self care. I've been doing weekly face masks with a face mask that I bought from Lush when I was in Chicago, and it is a coffee scrub and is supposed to help with toning, and I love it. It smells like coffee. Not gonna lie, it kind of looks like poop because it's brown and there's some like coffee beads in it. It's kind of like coffee beads. It's not fully smooth texture, but I quite like it and it's exfoliating and I think it's silly every time I look at myself in the mirror with it, but it's a vibe. I've been doing it on weekends and I'm trying to get myself to a point where I'm doing it 2 times or 3 times a week, but we're taking baby steps for now. So, friendly reminder to everyone to find little moments of self care. It's the little things that we do that can go a long way in our day to days. And helping build healthy rituals because it's easy to put ourselves last sometimes. There's good days and days that are harder to do the simplest things. I'm not going to lie, I've been there, and I was there today when I wanted to veg out, but decided I'm going to do something that fills my cup up, not just something that allows me to mentally check out. Although there are times when that's lovely, we have to have a balance. And I think the more joy we let ourselves have in life, the more full we are going to feel. And when we have a full life, I feel like that's the sweet spot. That's my hot take. And it felt fitting for today's episode for us to talk about time and self care because I wanted to remind us all to take time to slow down and embrace joy. Every day is a blessing. As cheesy as it may sound, I'm a true believer in it. And reading this article about Raquel's trip to Thailand with her friend reminded me to live my best life and not feel shame if I don't accomplish everything I dream of. What matters more is that I stay present and true to my authentic self and make the most of this lifetime. And I want to stand on all 10 toes, stand on business with that because what's the point, right? Like, we have one life, we should live it to our fullest and not worry about what we don't get done. There's other lifetimes for that. Let's make the most of this one. I'm a true believer in reincarnation. I'm not going to get into it on this episode, but thoughts to noodle on. And I hope you all have a lovely fall. It has been so nice being back on the pod every 2 weeks. And I don't want to jinx it because I have been on a streak. I am a few months in and I am proud of myself. It is a juggling act some days, being very ambitious and wanting to be everywhere all at once and unlearn that. And that's something I'm unlearning in therapy. And I am proud that I have been prioritizing my joy because it's not always easy for us to do that. And I've been practicing gratitude more. A piece of advice that my therapist recently suggested to me when I was talking about wanting to practice gratitude more was that it's best to be as specific as possible. For example, most people might say, I'm grateful to have a roof over my head, which is true. And I feel that I'm so grateful to have a roof over my head. But when you get more specific with the thing you're grateful for, you can feel it more. So, an example of that could be for myself, I'm grateful that my boyfriend cooks dinner and often makes me lunch when he can. Cooking isn't something that brings me joy, but I appreciate that he's willing to divide and conquer and lean in with me. And I really feel that because that goes to how much I love him as a partner and how I feel like we really are well suited for each other and complement each other. And the more specific that I get with the gratitude, the more I feel it and it has a larger impact and sticks with me more. So if you're up for practicing gratitude or want to start, try to be as specific as possible. I have a gratitude journal that I got as a gift and I've used it inconsistently, not gonna lie. So I'm trying to fill that up before I invest in another gratitude journal. So if you're also someone like me who might impulsively say, I'm just gonna start a new journal because it's fresh and I'll start the ritual again, maybe hold a beat and think to yourself, let me finish this one thing first, and then I'll get another thing if I know I'm gonna keep up with it because it's easy to invest in hobbies. I found personally from experience. You get super excited about something, but it's helpful to take baby steps and let yourself get in the groove before you take on too much. So, for me, practicing gratitude, I'm trying to do it daily, and I do that mentally and sometimes aloud. I'll say things I'm grateful for in the morning as I'm waking up and getting out of bed. In terms of writing it, I know that that brings it to your frontal cortex. I'm trying to do that at least once a week, and I welcome you all to join me in this journey. Feeling joy in today's day and age can be hard sometimes with the news headlines and everything that's happening. So it's even more important for us to find ways that we can control that bring us joy. And that can be riding the wave of life when it happens and practicing gratitude to remember that there are good things in your life and doing things that we know are going to bring us joy and fill our cup up. So, one way that I am practicing that is by going to the third Shine Away event hosted by Hello Sunshine. I went to the first one in 2023. I was traveling during the second one in Europe on a girls' trip, which I am so glad that we did that because it was amazing and I wouldn't change the world for it. And this year I am staying local and have decided to go to this event. I bought the ticket a couple months ago now and am so grateful that my work is going to be paying for me to attend. And I can't wait. The last time I went, there were a lot of great speakers. There's panels, fireside chats. This year, they're doing a live podcast taping. There are some workshops that unfortunately I registered too late. They sent an email on a Friday and I saw it on Saturday and the workshops were already booked. So I'm like, come on, I can only do so much here. But I'm stoked regardless because there's lots of great programming and I cannot wait. It's 2 days. I am going alone. So I'm hoping that I meet some people there, some friendly faces. I did the last time that I went and I went with my best friend last time, but I know that regardless, there's going to be a lot of great energy and great people there. So I can't wait. I love that Hello Sunshine's focus is to put women at the center of every story. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Hello Sunshine, it is a media company founded by Reese Witherspoon and Strand Equity founder and managing partner Seth Rodsky in 2016. Their focus, in their own words from their website, is Hello Sunshine aims to broaden perspective and empower women by giving them authorship, inspiring agency, and creating a platform to help them shape culture and the world around them. So, snaps to you, Reese, and your amazing team. I'm super excited for next weekend, which is when the event is. And I can't wait to geek out on all of the awesome interior design and architecture and event production. The first event was great. It was the first one, so there's always trial and error there, but I appreciate event production. I can geek out on it because I have worked in that field in my professional life and still do to a capacity. And I can't wait for all of the knowledge and wisdom from the fellow women that I'm going to absorb. I will recap the event in a future episode because I'm all about paying it forward and I don't want to gatekeep sharing wisdom that can help us all live our best lives. I wanted to share something I overheard from the very wise Tracee Ellis Ross. If you've been listening to the pod, you know I love her. She is an icon and I love the way she lives and experiences life. She and Reese were having a conversation about their lives, and I was hooked on so many words spoken during that panel. But something that stood out to me and resonates today with me are a few words from Tracee Ellis Ross. So she said, I look for things in my life that make my heart sing, and I try to give myself space to move into those areas as much as possible. I don't look for balance because I think that's impossible. She then went on to ask Reese if she agreed, and Reese did. And Tracee went on to explain that she looks for harmony. So, in her own words, so a sense for how the waves move. Sometimes they are big, sometimes they are small, sometimes there's more work, sometimes there's less. You kind of have to find the dance around all of it. She then went on to ask Reese what made her heart sing. I'm not going to fully get into their conversation. I love that Tracee looks for things in her life that makes her heart sing and tries to give herself space to move into those areas as much as possible. It goes back to trying to find joy. And I love that she talked about riding riding the waves. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small, sometimes there's more work, sometimes there's less. For me, the less work was when I wasn't feeling well a few days ago and I had planned to work on the pod, but I rode the wave and still embraced that day. And I am grateful for it because it added to my perspective and made this episode stronger. And you do have to find the dance all around it. So thank you, Tracee Ellis Ross. If you've ever come across this, you have made a impact on my life that is I get emotional because I've never met this woman, but I've been in her presence and that was everything. I am a huge believer in people's energy and people being able to put out energy in the world that actually uplifts others. And I feel like Tracee Ellis Ross is that person. It's through a video or a TV show or a conversation, and she leaves an impact. So thank you for living your authentic life and celebrating other people, your culture, other women, all walks of life. You are someone to look up to, not putting you on a pedestal, but admiring how you do life. And thank you. There's so many awesome people out there. Reese is another one. I'm super stoked. Thank you for putting on this amazing event. I can't wait to attend. I am super excited. Super, super excited. And I want to thank everyone for listening. That's today's episode. There's slow moments, there's rest days, there's time for play and romance. I just finished watching the Love Island After Sun last episode of this season, and I had many tears of joy because there were so many awesome people on this episode since it's been a mass exodus, is what it feels like. Towards the end, I digress. And don't forget to give yourself grace. We have to be kind to one another and also ourselves. I wish you all the best fall. Thank you so much for listening. I truly love you all. Talk soon.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.